have grown the business for the last 22 years into a very brand centric organization. And that's strategy first, design second for us. So it's really honing in on that one unique thing that this organization does and who do they help the most, and really try to build all of your communications and all of your brand elements around that one thing and those people that you serve the most. So they self-identify, they align with you. But that took me many, many years to sort of really get to that. And to sum up, what I do now is lead a team of brand strategists and designers and writers that really take mostly trade associations and B2B organizations through brand transformation. And it's identifying, again, who are we? What do we do that's unique from all other organizations, other associations? And who do we help the most? And so
it's a
making it,
miracle that you keep saying the one thing because the three of us are smiling about that. Like,
do tell.
yet the one thing, like associations are known for 10 things. And if you try to pin them
Yes,
down to the one thing, I
they
I
freak out.
I admire that
They
you can do
do.
it. Like when Jake is doing web design, he's like, let's talk about your navigation to get it cleaner. Oh no, we have all the things because associations pride themselves on being more than one thing.
They're also very important. But if we put all of our focus in our communications on that ideal member, and we can now audit all of our communications, we can audit all of our events to see, does that serve that person well? Is it relevant anymore? Are we making money doing that, for example? So it really helps you get clear on what you can get rid of and double down on. So this is where that change management comes in. That's where having brand therapy sessions with our clients on like, it's
Brand therapy.
okay.
Brand
We're
therapy.
going to come out of this really, really successful. But you're going to have to kind of go through a little bit of the muck and a little bit of the uncomfortableness to get there. That's probably the biggest challenge for me and my team, is helping leadership decide on that one thing, decide on their essential value and how to use it moving forward to make decisions. So the executive directors, the CEOs of the organization, sometimes they're getting all of this input from new board members as well. So I think they get tired of constantly having to like remind them and keep them focused. So I think that's a hard part for them as well. And you had mentioned who owns it, and that's a struggle. Like, does the CEO, does the executive director own it, or does the board? It's a combination. But I think what I would really love the
No one
executive
owns it though.
directors, right? But what I'd
Right.
really love is that CEO, you just take it and run with it. The board is looking for you to make decisions. They're there to support you and remove some barriers and really help see the bigger vision and that direction. So I think if our leaders would keep that focus and know that they have a really nice set of leaders supporting them, go run, go do it, like innovate, create change.
Mhm.
I would, so any whoever's going to be like working directly with us and through different working sessions through this transformation, they need to have a growth mindset,
Mhm.
uh, curious, ready for change, ready to be uncomfortable, and they have to be really good champions. They have to be really good communicators to communicate to the rest of the board, or communicate to staff, to communicate to vendors, you name it, of the process, what we're doing, why we're doing it, why it's important, and what's in it for the members, what's in it for the vendors, what's in it for the staff. So I want to have fun too. I think it's this work is really tough, and especially if you take some of these associations through a name change, that's one of the biggest, most difficult changes for people to wrap their arms around. You talk about alphabet soup a lot in this podcast. That is the case. There is such a mess of acronyms in our industry, but to pull them out to have a name that actually resonates and it is a name and is memorable and not confusing is hard for them sometimes to make that change. And now I lost where I was going with that,
No,
but
just who's on the core
you
team. Yeah, but that curious. So what are you, how do you feel about acronyms versus a brand name? As you know, you're not, you're in a lot of different worlds. Like what is your personal opinion on that?
Interesting
uh,
question.
acronyms got to go.
Really? All the time?
Totally.
Oh,
There
you're
are,
hurting my heart right now.
that's okay. That's okay. But who's going to remember the acronym? What's that emotional connection to letters? Like give them something that is a call to action. Give them something that is memorable,
Mm.
and creates a little wedge in that person's mind and heart.
That can go in and lead a brand therapy and a brand transformation exercise. Talk to us a little bit about what it's like staffing a creative agency.
Yeah. Um, well, it's a lot of fun. And when you do find the right people, hold them tight and take care of them and get out of their way, because they're amazing and really can help add to what you're doing and change and evolve it and make it better. You have to have really good listeners going through these sessions, because you are listening for what they're saying. You're also, even when you're on Zoom, watching the body language in the room and picking up on all of that and finding what are they not telling us, and getting them to get uncomfortable to share more, because the more they share, the better we're going to be able to help them. And we're uncovering their brand. Like, their brand is there. We're just actually getting it down on paper so everybody's in alignment and clear with it. So we have to be really good with our questions. Yeah, well, that's a whole. Jakey and I can spend a lot of time on that. That's the work that you do, and the work that we do also is that strategy part. So getting everybody to be really clear and align on the right words, so that the name for the navigation is vital. And getting in, I'm sure you do this in the same way, but you have to get the staff to understand this isn't for you. This
Right.
is for the members. This is for our other stakeholders. What are they thinking? What are they using? So even if go have conversations with those stakeholders, what are the words that do resonate with them? Or have questions, have a conversation. They're very powerful. Or outline what you want that navigation. I'm just using this example right now that you mentioned, but take it to a couple stakeholders, ask them what they think. They can really quickly identify yes or no, or what they would connect with. So coming back to the CEOs, the executive directors of the associations, I think they overthink a lot. I think they overthink decision making. I think they stall and they wait too long, and they don't trust themselves to just make a decision, pick a path, go down it. That I think is number one. And number two, we talked about in the very beginning, Gretchen, it's the like, we've got 10 things, they're all important, let's
Right.
do them all. Well, you just eliminated everybody. So the ability to eliminate and be confident that it's going to be okay, and it's actually going to be better if you get rid of that one or two things that aren't really working that well.
I think that I'm just curious to know, what are the big trends that have changed in 25 years that maybe along the way you're like, here we are, and I almost didn't see it coming, or something that you like, a trend that you can kind of say, because you have such a good body of work in over a long period of time, right? Some people don't stick in the same channel for so long.
Well, there is certainly no like when we actually build business systems, so your letterhead, envelopes, thank you cards, note cards, less and less of that. Most all of that's digital. And here's what I will tell you: I think the business card is still important, but the number one most important piece that all people should be still printing and using is a handwritten note. Those are just a thank you card, a handwritten note that you send out with a personal note. I've won business with it. I still win business to it today. I get thank yous for my thank yous. So don't stop doing
Right.
that piece, because that, again, that's another really deep emotional connection, and most people don't do it. So
When we jumped on was wrangling the brand.
Mm.
Something that we've run into.
Tell
and
me
I'm
more.
sure you do. Well, I mean, I'll, for example, you get involved with an association that has 50 chapters and different committees. So we have run into, over our history, a lot of brand fragmentation in associations, and I'd be interested to hear any kind of stories that you've got about it, any tactics to deal with that.
Yeah, I have a good recent story I'll share. So wrangling the brand. So for a lot of, and these aren't just national associations, this is actually for profit. If they have multi divisions, how to manage the brand assets. I'll speak to associations if you've got a national chapter that has state chapters, or even a state chapter that has counties or local smaller chapters within the state. those champions, those brand champions who have worked with us to transform and really nail down that one thing and that value proposition. They're key then to communicating that to the state chapters or to the local chapters, whatever it is. With a lot of work with us through a brand launch and a really smart rollout plan, we're feeding them, we're giving them the information, the graphics, the stories, the things to use. So they are getting that embedded in the state chapters and in the local chapters. So that's the consistency that is necessary nationwide, globally, whatever type of size organization they have. That's the key thing. But there has to be one brand champion, and that's typically a brand manager, or it's the marketing director of that association, that he or she is really overseeing all of those elements across all the chapters and holding, like, policing it, making sure that those chapters are doing it. So and you're constantly wrangling it. The best is when you have the actual executive director or the CEO go and do something that's off brand. That happens. So you never know.
And you got events and you got all the different programming, and those all end up with their own brands sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, leadership can really work for you or against you, right? And you want the activity either way. It's really funny when we're launching a community, we'll ask, how involved is your leadership team in the community? And nobody wants to say anything, but the reality is the executive director is basically maybe never going to log in, right? And maybe I'm exaggerating, but like pretty close. And I'm like, you should tee things up that are on brand, that make everyone feel good, because the members want to see the executive director post in the community.
Absolutely.
And they sort of fall in on that. They feel like if the executive director or the CEO is doing it, the barrier of entry to the community for them to participate has been lowered now. And everybody can speak a little more freely.
Well, every organization, large or small, should be auditing all of their brand elements on a regular basis, at least annually. If not kind of quarterly, every 6 months, just a high level scan. And every time you're introducing something new, go back to that brand platform there, that brand guide, whatever you have, that information, before you start adding whatever it is. Is it a new event? Does it have to be, is it underneath the main umbrella brand? Is it something unique? Like having that conversation, or bring in your brand partner and have that conversation with them. That's what they're good at. They're going to give you the right information and direction. But every year you need to go back to your value proposition, go back to your essential value, and check with leadership and make sure, is this still relevant? Are we in alignment? Typically it's yes, but after probably 3 to 5 years, you're going to start changing some of that words, but not a lot. Done right, that brand is really going to hold you consistent and strong, solid for a very long time. So that foundational work is so valuable long term. It makes your strategic planning way easier, keeps everybody on board, and keeps that strategic consultant in line also with the direction. Again, coming back to all the things you're doing, education, events, the technology, you can make really smart decisions when you are on brand.
I'm ready for